It's raining like hell out here. And that ditch is overflowing and it's going across the road, going off the side where it's causing some erosion. And this has happened over and over and over again. This part of the ranch road, it just needs to be fixed. This ditch is not deep enough and there's too much water. It's not just a matter of pulling the ditch, you know, with a grader or something like that. I try to carry a shovel in the car at this time of year just for this. And I just cleaned this ditch a few days ago. It's actually pretty deep. This is just a huge amount of water. Two possible solutions here. One, the best one, get rid of more of this water before it builds up this much. And the second one is make this ditch a lot bigger, or both. So you can see it's backing up right here. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna have to get over here and take out a whole bunch of dirt. It's not enough to just clean out the ditch that's there. We're gonna have to make it a lot wider. It's really been coming down for hours. Fortunately, I have like a little bit of a lapse here. You know, I don't drive out that much, but it's pretty obvious when I do that there's a lot of people that are just driving by this and they don't do anything. And I'll show you what's happening to the road. It's already gotten pretty narrow. I did like a preview for a series that I want to do. I haven't got to, unfortunately, because it's going to be really cool. Building and maintaining country roads, designing, building and maintaining. And one of the key principles to good road design in an area with lots of water like this. Oh, I left my truck lights on. I might actually drive back home and get some dry clothes. So what I was saying, one of the core principles is like, don't let the water build up. More water means more damage. So if I have a length of ditch that's 400 feet long or something, let's say, with no ditch relief, it's just going to keep gathering water and gathering more and more and more, and then this is going to happen. And when anything does go wrong, it's worse because there's more water carrying more energy. But by whatever means, avoid accumulating large quantities of water like this. So here's what it's doing. And this happens multiple times a winter now. This road edge used to be out here about, looks like 2.5 feet maybe, and it's all continuing to erode back here, and it's going to chew that road up. And now we're going to have to get, you know, some big rock, probably all the way back down in there to build this back up. But really, we need to fix this. If this had been attended to, we wouldn't have that problem over there at all. So another way that you can prevent building up large quantities of water is to avoid using ditches wherever you can. Instead, anywhere that there's topography that will allow for it, you just slope the road in such a way that it dumps the water. The water just runs off the side of the road instead of running into a ditch. So imagine you have 100 feet of ditch and the road is crowned, meaning that it has a high center. If the road is on any kind of topography at all, like any slight kind of sideways hillside, half the water is going to run off the side of the road down a hill, and the other half's going to run into an inside ditch if the road is crowned. There we go. Now we stopped it. So there you have 50% of the water that's hitting that crowned road is like this, is coming to an inside ditch. If other factors allow for it, we could slope the road completely to the downhill side of the topography and just have all the water run off the road the same way that the water is running into this ditch and collecting. We could potentially eliminate the entire inside ditch, and that's great. It gives you more road surface, quite a bit more, a couple feet, sometimes more. There's no ditch to maintain, no ditch to clog up. So like right up there, there's forest. Sticks will come all the way down this ditch from the trees and cause it to start building up like leaves and mud and stuff, and then it overflows. So a lot of the time when I'm out here, I'm cleaning out these, stick and leaf dams. The style of building where you have no inside ditch and everything runs to one side and off the road is called outsloping. And you can't use it everywhere. It's definitely a concern that you could end up with a road that you slide off down some, steep embankment or something. The majority of my driveway is outsloped and I've had no such problems. It just depends. Definitely don't write it off as just being unsafe. The other thing that has a lot to do with it is if you have a lot of water coming off the road on one side, it may be more water than you can afford to have run across your road. And so you may need a ditch to intercept water coming from the side. When people first find out about this kind of sort of progressive road building systems, they think it means outsloping, and that's all it is. Like, oh, you just outslope everything, but that's not true at all. You have to read the topography and the water, and you choose from a bag of tools. And one of those tools is ditches, and another one is crowned roads. You just have to adapt, but what it doesn't do is it doesn't stupidly apply the same crowned inside ditch system to every situation, because you don't need to, and it creates problems that you then have to solve, like this. It would be much better to get rid of some of this water further up the road, if at all possible. Unfortunately, it may not be. In fact, my driveway is getting damaged right now because I haven't cleaned out this ditch, and the neighbors never do it. And I really should go over there right now and dig it out too. Maybe I will. Anyway, that's a problem, because water from this main ranch road comes down the hill and onto the driveway. To relieve this ditch more, unless we redo the road topography, we're looking at dumping more water towards my driveway, which I ain't crazy about. But now you see, we got all this water. You see the benefit of just getting rid of the water in small amounts, just the way this is running off right here. What if that was running off into this field? You know, just a little bit at a time, sheeting out there, not causing any problems. Yes to that. There's a lot of free gravel in here. Okay, the other thing I want to check is make sure there's no sticks in this culvert. So this is like 10 or 12 inch culvert, and I know this is a lot of water, but I don't think it's enough to fill that culvert. So there's probably some kind of blockage here. Maybe not. Nope, it's just a lot of water. If this culvert ever gets replaced, we're looking at least a 14-inch culvert. When sticks come down here, like this one, this is a stick I pulled out of there before, there's more chance that they'll go in and not block the mouth. I mean, I feel like I really need to come out here and spend an hour or two, hopefully with some help with one of the neighbors, to widen this entire ditch, even if it means taking some out of the road here, way back up in there where it starts to go uphill again. Because where it flattens off here is where we have the problem. Then the water kind of slows down for a second and is able to overflow the ditch. But something has to be done about this, because it's already incurred an expensive repair there with a bunch of rock. Let's drive up the road, look for any more problems, and then we'll go fix my driveway, and I'm gonna get some dry clothes and then go do my work trade that I have to do. If this keeps up for another 12 hours, like overnight or worse, you could be looking at problems here on the road. Slip outs, more overflowing ditches. Here's another problem. See, same thing. We have this too long a ditch. Windstorms just blew all kinds of crap down. I don't know if you can see how much tree stuff is on the road here, like limbs and stuff that have blown down. Can you guys even see out there? If I had the time and energy, I would redesign this road. And then over the years, like as work needed to be done on the road, start to solve some of these problems. So this is what I'm talking about here with this really long stretches of inside ditch on our left. And a lot of that water could be going off the side of this road. And again, in some cases, the water is actually coming from the hillside. There'll be spots on the hillside where, for whatever reason, a lot of water drains out of the soil or comes off the surface of the soil because it's not soaking in. Usually where there's forest, there's less of that happening because the roots of the trees create ways for the water to be stopped, slow down, and percolate. And then where there's grassland, it tends to be a little more water coming off the road. I should move that, but I'm not gonna. That's radio interference on my cell phone. There's a culvert right there. I'm gonna check that to make sure it's not getting blocked. Yeah, this really looks okay. I'll just clean it out a little bit. The more open it is, the better, because at any time, especially if we get more water coming down here, it starts with one stick, floats down here, and it sticks across the mouth of the culvert. And then another stick comes along, and then leaves start to build up. And before you know it, you have a blockage, because we're always getting this kind of thing happening. This water, for instance, goes down the hill and then basically ends up going across my driveway and creating problems, which is actually what we're going to fix. So we had all these big windstorms, and the fir branches are really brittle. So you come up and you'll find like these messes of fir starts to build up these stick dams, and then it overflows and then it comes down my driveway. Yeah, here's a perfect example. So we get some branches. There you go. That was a perfect example where just a few small branches start this big problem. Same thing here, see? One branch starts the whole problem. Okay, this isn't fun anymore. Yeah, most people, they'll just drive by this. You know, it's like eroding things across the road here. But in some cases, not doing so can incur thousands of dollars in road work, gravel, machine time. Look at all that. All right, let's get this ditch flowing, then we'll deal with the rest of this mess. The problem is every time I clean anything out, a bunch of leaves flow down the ditch and just stack up and cause another dam. So I'm gonna have to go all the way down here. I hate to throw all these sticks and leaves on the road, but that's what I'm gonna do. 'Cause it's so much faster. Like I'm rowing a boat. Good thing I feel good today. Yeah, look at that. See, what did I say? You start moving all this stuff and it just piles up somewhere else. There we go. I think everything else down there is good. Okay, let's go deal with my driveway. That all looks good enough. It's about the best I could say for it. It's good enough. Definitely need to work on that ditch. I might be able to recruit a neighbor or two, but it's more the neighbors that live further that way. You know, this is less their responsibility. These next door neighbors of mine come up anytime soon. They would help me if I, organize it. They don't live here, so they don't really have their finger on the pulse of what's going on with stuff like this. Ideally, they would maintain this stuff that I'm going to have to deal with right now, but I haven't been able to get them to. I don't think they even remember I asked them to do it. You see how it's overflowing here? Eating up the road. The camera says my battery's low. I don't think it's going to last very long, but I'll show you what's happening here. It's the same problem. Look at all this water on my road. It's supposed to be in the ditch. But I got like blackberries, I got leaves, sticks, it's a forest, so this fills up. Ideally, there would be no ditch here, but this water is the water I showed you up on the road there. And I was like, this water is going off the road here and it's going onto my road, and here you go, this is it. Up there somewhere, there's a place where the water comes off the ranch road. So that's why I'm not crazy about adding any more to it without making some major changes to this road. Redigging this ditch, like I have to do it every couple of years. Like there's already a bunch of erosion in my road. It's just eating away. And then maybe if my neighbors watch this video, they'll like feel embarrassed about being useless city people. Clean out the damn ditch. They're cool people. They don't live here and they don't understand what's going on yet. Totally filled up with leaves, road sediment. That's better, huh? And here the water still has to go over the road anyway. We created the road in such a way that it spreads out and it sheets over the road and it hasn't caused any damage. The road's been here for like 10 years, so that's cool. But we don't want this. I want it to go kind of keep going down the hill and spread out a bit. But this has been enough of a problem that in the past I've had to actually build this back up. You see how low it is on the left side here from the water carrying off the dirt and gravel. So at some point, if this keeps happening, I'll have to come back in here with some, dirt and rock and fill this back in so we don't create other problems. But we'll talk about that whenever I actually do that video, which let's hope I do, because it's really important and could save some people a lot of problems, especially if you're designing a road from scratch. You can design it in such a way that you can prevent a lot of this unnecessary maintenance. This part of the road in particular would be outsloped to our left, but the woman who owned the property at the time when we did the road, this is an easement through her property, what was her property, now my neighbor's. She was just kind of hard to deal with. So I had to go out last night to do this job. It's kind of a work trade. I do it twice a week, and I was already a day late. It was raining so hard, it's been just pouring rain. I had to stop and shovel out ditches on the main ranch road and on my driveway. I had to get out and do that and get all wet for like 40 minutes or so. And then I was like, I'm too wet, I better go change my clothes. So I come back down my driveway, and there's like an 18-inch tree that fell between the time I went out and came back. I just ditched that job for the time being, and I have to go in this morning. The truck is actually on the right side of the road to go do the job, you know, because I'm trapped on the outside. There's a video I did a while back where I had this like emergency problem with the creek flooding, potentially because this tree fell in it, and I'm going to show you what happened, exactly the thing that I was trying to prevent happened. I'm not sure exactly how, but somehow some logs moved again and ended up in the creek bed and is pushing the water around the outside, so it's going to eat up this bank. That's what I'm doing today. I'm going to make some coffee, maybe eat something, and then grab the chainsaw and hike up the road with it to clear that tree. It's a pretty good sized tree. I was actually thinking about cutting this group of trees down to mill them once they got sudden oak death. This one just broke because of heart rot. You know, there is some clear looking trunk on it. I didn't look at it that close, but if I'm lucky, I might get a few axe handle blanks out of it. I'm gonna go make some coffee. I just brought an axe, and I think this wood is super rotten. Like, I could probably just bash it into pieces and push it down the creek. So that's my hope anyway. I just need to clear here. See, it's all punky. And generally I want all this wood down in the creek to slow the water down and prevent erosion, but I don't want it blocking, obviously, all this. But I want it, you know, here, like up against these banks is good. There we go. If there's any rocks down there that I'm going to hit, it looks like I might have hit one. I can't really see what I'm cutting, but I do want to get this pretty cleared out. Oh, I'm glad this wood's rotten. It did eat a lot of that away. There's a plant that grows there that's really cool. It's called California ginseng. or California spikenard, Aurelia californica. Let's go look at the roots. It's really cool. It's got these huge alien-looking rhizomes, and it has properties similar to ginseng apparently, but I think some of them probably washed away. We lost quite a bit of soil in here. Well, here's one right here. I might actually harvest this one, uncovered already. I mean, I think it'll live, especially if I throw some dirt on it. There's the growing tip, so this will be next year's main plant. This was the plant last year. It kind of grows. You can see like this was 1 year, there's the second year, etc. So it grows pretty slow, and it forms these huge rhizomes. I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut a piece of this root off. It's actually not a root, it's a rhizome. A rhizome is an underground stem. Iris is a rhizome, ginger is a rhizome. But if I just cut off part of this and leave this part, it'll just keep growing, I think. It's going to do wonders for the edge of my axe here, but this is the dull side anyway. And then I can just make a tincture, or I may do an extract. I might make an extract. That's a root. It's such a neat plant. It's really big, huge leaves. It looks kind of tropical. Look at that monster. So this is a root. This is actually goes down into the earth and collects nutrients and stuff. And this is like an underground stem. It stores energy. You know, it's the thing the roots grow off of. Sometime I might come and pile some dirt back on this. The smell of this stuff is really potent. It's kind of this earthy, musky almost. Okay, we're headed up the road to cut up a tree. Can you see down there where that water is and those bushes? It looks all like muddy and tore up. That's wild boar rooting, and there's some more like over in the orchard closer to in there. It appears I haven't got in my garden though to get like the compost and stuff. But that could be good news, it could be bad news. It's good news if I can shoot one and eat it. The problem is they usually come in at night and then by morning they're gone. But if I get, you know, part of a chance, I'm gonna shoot one of those things and eat it. Oh yeah. It's definitely not raining as much today. Hopefully this isn't as big of a job as it could be. There aren't a lot of limbs on the road. I'm well prepared here. I have some food, I've got water, I've got a change of clothes in case I don't want to go back home. Like if this doesn't work out, I'll just head down to the place I need to go work at, do that thing real quick, and then I can always come back and park here because it's about, you know, a 5-minute walk back home. But I think we're gonna do okay. Gas up this saw and get to work. Let's take a look at the tree real quick. Up there, there's like these big tan oak trees. This one had a lot of heart rot. I'm hoping that this section right here is solid, especially from here where this knot is to there, because I could potentially split some axe handle material out of there. If we look at the bark, it is pretty much dead straight. You can see like the lines in the bark go straight up the trunk. They don't go off curving to the side. You know, there's going to be some knots in here. It looks like there might be one right here, you know, hidden inside there, but hopefully this section is relatively knot free. And if it's also not rotten, I might be able to split some handle blanks out of there or for later use. I do want to try this as an axe handle material. I think it's going to be maybe a little bit brittle, but probably workable. And you can see though, it's a tall tree. I mean, there's another 30 feet, I'm guessing. I can't really see how far it goes. It snapped off a piece of this bay tree, which I've been meaning to cut out of the road anyway. I wish I'd taken this out when we built the road. You can see it's damaged and all weird anyway. I might go ahead and cut that down while we're at it. Out of the way, I can drive through. Got a bunch of firewood already cut, or I cut firewood for like 3 other people, so. See how straight it is? It looks nice, but there's heart rot. So really I've only got anything that's discolored past this line is quite rotten actually. Look at that, I can pretty much stick my finger in there. This is where all that water ran out, this dark tannic acid water. Wouldn't surprise me if you could have tanned hides in that stuff. There you can see it on the end there, leaking out. I don't know if you can see here, but there's almost a line right there where this is real white and this is darker. This white wood here is less mature. So really all I can work with is this more pink stuff in here, about this much. That's just too bad, but I'll be cutting down a lot more big tan oaks this year because they're all sick and dying anyway. I mean, this fell because of rot, but those trees, any year now, maybe this year, will show signs of infection with the sudden oak death organism, Phytophthora ramorum, and I'll probably try to cut them down before they actually just die and rot and fall down or stand there as like an enormous fire hazard for years before they finally fall over. We're more than 20 feet from the trunk and the bark is still an inch thick, but this won't come off right now. Let's try it. I don't think it will. So this time of year I always travel with an axe, and I almost forgot it. I actually started walking out of the room without it, and I thought, yeah, I better get one because there might be a tree down in the road. And I was like, I should grab my GoPro too. And in case there's something exciting happens. Just look at the richness of that bark. This is just premium tan bark. And this year I have access to infected trees that need to be cut down on the order of, over 20 trees. What I really need to do is build a safe place to store it, because if it gets wet at all, it starts to mold. But you can see that this really doesn't want to slip here. In another month, this will start slipping even less maybe. Just whenever the weather really starts to warm up, and then this will separate from the wood like that, but real easy, like in big sheets. A lot of you have already seen me doing that in other videos. Now, of course, I could save this bark. There's a way to get it off. I could draw knife it off. There's always something I could do. But again, I have access to so much, I don't have the time and energy to spend salvaging bark that's difficult to get. And there's a lot of wood here I could salvage, like for turning stuff on the lathe. I may salvage some for other projects, but really this isn't a very good tree for that. And I'll have access to better trees this year for that. I need a lot of very small wood for there's two wood stoves on this property that take wood under 12 inches. 12 inches and preferably smaller. So I caught a whole bunch of this for that. It's a lot of fun, I'll tell you, to buck wood for a 12 inch lengths for a wood stove with an axe. So much fun. Freestyle wood splitting, that's what Buck and Billy Ray calls it. That's a great term. Two and a half pounds. This stuff splits pretty good though. No complaints. It's funny, with a maul I prefer to split it dry. It splits better dry, I think. Not enough that I'll really usually wait for it to dry, but if it's at all difficult, I will. But with an axe, I'd rather come in here and just start hitting this stuff. And then as I get it done, I kick stuff out of the way and just keep going in there, see? And yeah, this stuff is short, so it splits easy, but it does work with bigger wood too. Just got to read it right, hit it right. Like I said, with an axe, it's easier to split this when it's green. I should stop playing around here. All I have to do is move this log right here and drive through.